Well, it's taken 4 years, but we finally have a buff to Black Panther Civil War. For most people, you won't remember the sad pass. Well, I'm sure a lot of people do actually remember the sad passing of Chadwick. Chadwick sadly passed in 2020, in August of 2020. Yeah, sad that it was very, very sad. But yeah, I mean, for time I had a profile picture of Black Panther Civil War until I changed mine for obvious reasons to Black Widow Deadly Origin. People know the backstory with that one. But it meant something to have that. I think it was like a good year that I had that as a profile picture, or a bit longer than that actually. Yeah, so positive news is finally after 4 years the champion is getting a buff. A lot longer than that, to be honest. If you went back to like the late 2010s, like 2017, or was it like longer than that? It's probably best I actually kind of go into game and check tags. Tag is 2016, so it's longer than that. So it's taken nearly 8 years to get a rework of the champion. Shh, don't say that. I can't say that. But at least in the last 4 years since the passing of Chadwick that we've finally seen it. Kabam did say they were going to buff the champion, and haven't. Kabam Mike actually was the one who said we'll honour this, we'll honour Chadwick and we'll get the champion buffed. But didn't get, and it kind of gave the impression that it was going to happen sooner rather than later. But of course now it's 4 years later, and finally we're getting the buff. Put a link in the description to where is it? I've got so many tabs open when it comes to like stuff that's happened with the changes and buffs and stuff like that. The reworked information is on screen right now. There we go. Let's talk about some of this stuff. And also we're going to see the footage from the live stream, the Kabam live stream yesterday, last night actually. So, yeah, blows and making them regret to strike him. Rework gives the player more control over his ability to store up incoming damage and greatly improves his ability to dish that out. Which is great. Reflects stun, bleed, and cleanse. Cleanse, I think, is a new aspect to this, which improves things. And his strengths are his burst damage, his stun reflect, and his bleed. Specifically built to absorb incoming energy and unleash it in a furious explosion. Time this explosion correctly, and you'll be rewarded with massive red numbers. Nice. Just what it is at the moment, but amplified a lot more. Bleed immunity, tempo, disruption as weaknesses. Look out for that. With enough disruption, T'Challa will lose his ramp up and have to start over, so you can suppress. Easy enough. So what do Kabam say? They say you'll immediately notice the skill champion is no longer has his armor up buffs, and thus getting him into the reflective state is more easier and more predictable than before. Oh, that's going to make my path in map 8 a little bit trickier. I'm going to have to figure out who I'm bringing in for this. Similar, the stun of Reflect no longer requires an armor up, but is more easily played around when the Matrix is on cooldown, and can also be turned off by mutants who replace stun debuffs with passives. Interesting. I might have to... Well, that's fine, because that puts you in the camp of bringing in Bishop. I might change my Alliance Quest team based on that particular fight. And yeah, it might be like I use Storm, OG Storm, Storm Pyramid X, or Bishop. So I guess that's going to be fine. Reflect charges will accumulate when T'Challa loses health, but are now primarily accumulated through intentional gameplay by the player. Charges can also be refreshed with incomplete combos, and gaining them regularly lets you hold on to the Matrix and thus build charges for longer. A defending Black Panther will still unleash stored energy on any hit that strikes the opponent, but attackers have much more control now. The goal with the kinetic burst here is to cancel a heavy attack into a special and cash out your charges multiple times across each of those hits. Special one for ramping charges and for the debuff control via the cleanses. It can also be helpful if having longer, weaker bleeds active on your opponent is helpful. The SB2 is pure damage. It does more hits than the SB1, and so deals more kinetic burst, and his bleed debuff. Bleed debuffs can very large with enough stored charges. A standard easy button special attack ramps SP3 ramps ranks Black Panther and makes him temporarily easier to play. Starting with additional charges is a huge boon to Black Panther's first damage payout, allowing him to burst down large opponents quickly. The signature ability also improves the survivability while the Matrix is active and protects him from disruptive heavy attacks. Okay, so they made him a bit more tankier, but a lot more kind of burst damagey, if that's really a word. So the information I got from the live stream, which we'll see the footage in a second, is you get 4 cleanses off of the SP1, which you're going to see in a minute. The claws attacks bleed, it's a given. Reflective Matrix parry, get 3 charges and more in specials, so the SP3 rotation might be the best way to do this. Dash back to refresh your, I'd say, what is it, like Matrix or whatever, or the charges. Heavy cancel, throw special, big bleeds, and let's see some footage, because that's another kind of key thing right here. Let's go to the rework footage. This is where things are going to get tasty. Of course, we know the SP3 animation, which you can see on screen. Now we're going into a fight against Jessica Jones. Some nice yellow numbers right off the bat, and as well some good bleed damage. You can see getting that block up, and we've got the Matrix all ready to go. The burst damage, I mean, it's good burst damage right there, especially going up against annoying champions like Quicksilver. And you can see that there, like you've gone into heavy attack, which did 45k. There's a lot of champions who do a bit of burst damage, so yeah. Wow, like it's honestly interesting. Interesting as well to take against like Shuri, if that's really a champion recommended to as an option to go against. And with your Matrix capacity built up, we're going to see some big burst. Swipe back, dash back, and then we refresh the charges. Do an SP2, 64k, another 64k. Oh, that's meaty. That's a meaty amount of damage you can do with a champion. That will be, and also the cleanse, you know, taking those annoying debuffs and being able to fire back quite nicely. Yeah, I think that I'm going to have a lot of fun with this champion next week when I get to play him, because you do know he's in the new update. You get to play him. Like, Kabam have released it next week. I think that you're going to, the burst damage is nice. It's the same way that the reason I like Gallon. I like Gallon because you're able to burst that amazing amount of damage when you harvest. And I think that I'm going to like Black Panther Civil War because he kind of functions in the same way. But can be a bit of a counter to situations, but just an outside burst damage option. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for the video. I want to do a little showcase of the information. I'll put links in the description to stuff. Great to see the footage. I'm glad Kabam showcased stuff in the live stream. But yeah, that's really it. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far? Do you need to see more details of the abilities? I think I do, but I just want to take the champion. I want to take this version right here and kind of go further and beyond with what can be capable. Weird that the buffs have gone, because I would have figured out some kind of counters to that, but it's time to find new counters. And I think instead of it being about like not using mutant champions, it's like, well, now and not using, say, mystic champions, it's now about using mutant champions for it. So your bishops, your storms, your apocalypse, your whoever you've got as a strong mutant based champion, your dazzlers even. But anyway, thoughts, and I will see you all soon. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. See you in the next one. Cheers and bye bye.